Hello there, everyone. This is Quiversee, and welcome back to the Pokemon Platinum Nuzlocke. Last time, we were beaten by Gardenia, which means, as you can see here, I need to delete all my data and start over from scratch. So let's run down what happens on my way back to Eterna City. Things start out pretty much the same, as I am going to be starting with our lovely little Chimchar again. I stand by what I said before. I want to give this little fire monkey a chance. When it came time to name him, though, I didn't want to use Torchimp again. This is a different monkey. So I ultimately decided on the name Ashape, because he's risen from the ashes of the fallen Torchimp. After getting my Pokeballs, I went straight to Route 201. First encounter there was, thankfully, a Starly. Now, I decided ultimately to name this one, since I couldn't name it Groose because it was a female, I ultimately went with Grushell. And thus, our second member. Next on the Verity Lakefront is where we found, what else but a Bidoof. This one, I could not think of anything good, so ultimately, I just named the little beaver girl, Beeve. Moving on past Sandgem Town over to Route 202, managed to find our next party member, a Shanks, which we did not have before. And when it comes to Shanks, I actually had an idea for the name, because they have like a whole star motif with their naming and their appearance, so I named him after the constellation Orion. Things are relatively uneventful going through Jubilife City, so after getting the Poketch, I went straight to the Ravaged Path where I found, what else? A Psyduck. And this one I decided to name after a different type of headache, because that's what they have, Hemicrania. And as soon as I step outside from catching this Psyduck, I get my new encounter of the route right outside, and it's a Wurmple, which we never got before. I was really hoping to get another Budew here, but hey, a Wurmple, not a bad Pokemon. I caught it, and I named it Mystery. With a full team of 6, it was time to make our way out of Jubilife and head towards Oreburgh, where of course we had to take on Squirrel, which, just as before, wasn't really all that hard. Grushell was able to take out his own Starly with basically no difficulties. But since I didn't have a Budew, I didn't have an easy answer to his Piplup, which had me a little concerned, especially since Orion did not have any electric moves yet. Luckily, though, just like before, he really wanted to use a lot of growls. He did actually get a bit more aggressive than the first time, but a combination of Orion and Grushell was more than enough to beat down the Pengy. After beating Squirrel, I promptly went out to beat the trainers on the following route, during which Mystery evolved into Silcoon. Unfortunately, afterwards, I got to my encounter for the route, and it was another Abra, which got away. Made it to Oreburgh City without any further encounters, but I found a Heart Scale and a Pearl hidden in the slag heap that I missed before. Down in Oreburgh Mine, our first encounter was once again a Geodude, just like the first time. But unlike the first time, I wasn't stupid, and I actually managed to catch this thing after poisoning it with Mystery. And because its cry makes me think of the Kool-Aid Man screaming, "Oh yeah!" I named her Kool-Aid. And she ended up replacing Beeve in the party. After that began the training for the Oreburgh City Gym, and after realizing I was struggling before getting Water Gun on Hemicrania, I decided to teach Rock Smash to Kool-Aid rather than to Ashape. After beating up a bunch of Geodude in the cave, Mystery managed to evolve into Beautifly. And not only that, but it learned Absorb. After I was done training, this is how the team looked. As you can see, I was a little bit stronger going into it this time than I was the first time. And given that I was able to solo him with a Psyduck before, I had no fears at all going into this that Hemicrania was going to just sweep him. As you can see, one-shot the Geodude just like before, one-shot the Onix the same way after getting hit with the Stealth Rock, which doesn't matter. And then the Cranidos, the only thing that has any level of threat. And ultimately, it did nothing. All it did was one headbutt that would have been a kill had we been crit, but we weren't, so we're good. Now, after the gym battle, before I went back to Jubilife, I realized I never went up to Route 207 this time to catch a new Pokemon. And just like before, when I went up there, first thing I found was, of course, a Machop. This one gave up a little bit of a fight to catch, but after it got injured and poisoned, it went in pretty easily. Named it Brochad, and then made my way back to the Oreburgh Tunnel, where we also had not yet obtained an encounter. I was hoping that I might be able to make it to the basement before getting a new encounter, but unfortunately, I ran into a Zubat when I was on my way there, and since I hadn't encountered one yet in this run, I had to catch it. So I caught it and named this one Lilith. The next major encounter to speak of was, of course, the two Galactic Grunts at the north of Jubilife. And while our first encounter with them, they were actually somewhat of a threat, not too dangerous, but a little bit of a threat. This time we had Kool-Aid, who not only had a Rock Smash, which was good against both of them, but was also extremely durable because all they could do was scratch. Needless to say, they went down easy. Next up, I went down to the Valley Windworks to try and get myself another Shellos, and of course, my first encounter was a Pachirisu. Needless to say, I was a little disappointed, but then I remembered how good Barine was, so I figured, you know what? I'm gonna give Pachirisu an actual honest-to-goodness shot. I caught him, named him Barry, and put him in place of Orion. Next, I had to prepare for the battle with Galactic Commander Mars, and that meant training up. After a slight close call with Grushel, I managed to get her to evolve into a Staravia by battling all the Shellos and stuff on this route. And wouldn't you know it, but the very next fight against yet another Shellos, Ashape evolved too. So I was sitting pretty good at this point. Here's a brief glimpse of how the team looked and I went into Commander Mars. As you can see, I was much better prepared, but still technically underleveled. Either way, Ashape was more than enough to handle her Zubat. A couple of embers, and she went down. Unfortunately, he did get toxic, but all that really did was knock him out of the fight for the rest of it. The good news is, that was never the plan. For I had two goals for this Purugly. Goal number one, as you can see here, was me to use Berry to lower its attack stat with Charm. The same strategy I used with Strongbird the first time. But because I'm using Charm, I only have to use it half as often. Once that was done, it was all up to Kool-Aid. She's a defensive wall, she resists all of her attacks, and she had Rock Smash, which was really good against her. Needless to say, once I got Kool-Aid out there, she laid the smackdown, and I beat Purugly with no death. After that, I went over to Route 205 on the way to Eterna, and found a Shellos, which is great, albeit unsurprising, given how common they are on this route. But I was happy anyway. Either way, I beat it down, caught it in a Heal Ball this time, which matches his color scheme, which is nice. Named it Meep because I always name them Meep. And she ended up taking Hemicrania's place in the party afterwards. Our last stop before Eterna City was, of course, the Eterna Forest. And because we were with Cheryl, we had a double battle where the encounter had a Silcoon and a Budew. Already had a Silcoon, really wanted a Budew. Needless to say, went straight for it, and thankfully, caught it. Didn't want to reuse our Vensis, so I named this one Rubiginosa, after the genus of a red rose. And after making it to Eterna City, I went over to Route 211, where, just like before, I found a Meditite. This Meditite was a little bit annoying to catch. It was extremely resilient to my Pokeball throwing. But eventually, it does give. That being said, unlike before, I don't really have a slot for it, so I caught it, named it Majin, and put him in the box for now. But with that, we're now all caught up. After this, all that was left to do was to train for my rematch with Gardenia. We're going to cut back to live for that. All right. This is what my team is looking like right now. Kool-Aid and Meep are not getting in this fight. In fact, I'm going to take the XP share I gave to Meep and give it to Barry, just to help get him caught up a little bit more. But I'm explicitly counting on Mystery. I could, and probably should, be more prepared for this, given what has happened in the past. In fact, I'm not going to go and do any more training, but I am going to buy some items. And maybe I'll switch out one or two of my Pokemon just as sacrifice fodder. And here is what I am going to lock in with. And the reason I'm locking in with Brochad and Hemicrania is because I am using them both as sacrifice fodder. If I game over again against Gardenia, unlike before where I just had 2 Pokemon, both of them water types, I have 7. Because I haven't lost anything yet. In fact, I never made the graveyard because I haven't. So if I game over to Gardenia, rather than going through the entire everything again, at least for the moment, I will basically just train up the Pokemon that are left behind and go from there. Still keeping the ones that died in battle as dead. That being said, I've got Mystery, so I'm not afraid. However, I think I'm going to start with Grushel. because I'm going to be counting heavily on Mystery for, for the Rosa raid. Possibly the Cherrim, too. I don't know. I've also still have access to my starter. Ashape gives me some hope. But yeah, I've been going back and forth on this a lot, but it's time. Gardenia, round 2. It's taken me hours to get back here, but I'm here. I forgot that you started with a Turt. I just remembered the scary ones. The Turt ain't scary. Alright. Grushel. Dead. And I'm not even wasting my time with the double teams like I did before, because with Magical Leaf, there ain't no doggone point. I'm gonna put Grushel in the line of fire on Cherrim, because I want to try and save Mystery for the Rosa raid. And Cherrim, I don't think is gonna be that bad as long as it doesn't crit. Okay, yeah, it's a bit of a bulk wall, though. There's the Leech Seed. That's the other thing. I don't want Mystery to get seeded. And if memory serves, the Rosa raid doesn't have Leech Seed. If I remember its moveset correctly, and given how long I was in that fight, I'd better. It should know Poison Sting, Stun Spore, Grass Knot, and Magical Leaf. You and your magical leaves. Whew. This is going better. Alright, Grushel, you've done your part. Now it's time for the Rosa raid. And honestly, I think Mystery has this in the bag. Come on, Mystery. You can beat this flower. It's got 2 levels on you, but you are a bug flying type. Yeah, I saw that coming. Honestly, I'd rather it do the Sun Spore than use Poison Sting and poison me. Gust! Roserade does have better special defense than physical, but look at that! 2 more of those, and I can kill it. Yeah, that's... okay, that's not great. Foe is no longer protected by Safeguard, which means I can now give it status ailments. That being said, I'm not going to try. Okay, Gust. You're going to use a Super Potion. There ain't no way around it. Oh, wait, no, Citrus Berry. I forgot you had that. Oh, man, are you in the threshold that you're not going to heal, but I could kill you? I hope so. Okay, Mystery's constantly getting paralyzed. I'm gonna use her newest, or his newest move, Morning Sun! Because Morning Sun is a healing move. I can restore some HP without using a potion. Take that, Roserade. Ah, back to the Leaves of Magic, are we? Gust! Die! Oh! Screw you! Yeah, super your potion. Either way, this shows that this was the right call, bringing Mystery. Magical Leaves! Alright, that's going to bring you back into the red. You're probably going to use another Super Potion. No, you're not! You used 2 last time. Okay. Well, with that, Gardenia is down. Which means we are officially back on track. Amazing! You're very good, aren't you? I might have said it before, but you're really tough. Wasn't it hard for you to raise your Pokemon to be so good? Ma'am, alternate timeline me has things to say, has opinions about that statement. Just saying. I guess that's a measure of how much you love your Pokemon. In recognition of that, I proudly grant you this. Forest Badge! Yay! With the Forest Badge, your Pokemon can use the hidden move Cut outside of battle. Now that you have 2 gym badges, all Pokemon you receive to trace will pay you up to level 30. I've also got something else. A gift from me. TM86, Grassnot? I'm betting it's Grassnot. Is it Grassnot? That team contains Grassnot. Yup. One of my favorite moves. The heavier the foe, the more damage this move will cause. And now we're going to change the clock to 12:30. Oh, man. I will say this. I have never been quite so thankful that I've been playing on an emulator. Because I have the fast forward function. And that cut my time from what the game thinks is about 5 hours to 3.5. Yes, I've been doing this for 3.5 hours straight. I'm fortuitous that I had nothing else I needed to do today. That being said, this has been a bit exhausting. But we are back and fully caught up. And now I'm going to put Mystery to rest because I still want to train the Budu. I have to admit, after that, I am tempted to keep Mystery in my team. But the problem is, he's going to peter off really quick. Like, there's only so far that I can actually take him. That being said, if another party member dies, Mystery is probably the first one that's coming back in. So, for now, Mystery, you're the hero. Oh, I said you're the hero. You saved us. And you deserve that star. And Rubiginosa. Where's that? Soothe Bell. Won't give you the Soothe Bell. And I might as well also give the, XP share back to Meep. I'd rather have that on him right now. And I'll just put Barry in the lead for a bit. Nah, wrong! Ding dong button. Ugh. That is that. So, now that we have caught back up with our new team and no deaths, which is honestly surprising, given how things have gone so far, next time on the Pokemon Platinum Nuzlocke, we're going to move on, take a better look around Eterna City, and cut our way into the Galactic Building, which reminds me I'm going to need to pull out my Beeve and teach it how to cut. Whatever, I'll worry about that next time. Until then, thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.